What's going on, motivators? We got another video. Want to talk about President Trump's bold move to Iran in the Strait of Hormuz. Let's get into this.
Breaking news on the war in Iran. President Trump announcing moments ago a naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz is beginning. Coming up in moments, President Trump will join me in an exclusive interview to give us the very latest on the war on Iran, as high-level talks between the United States and Iran have concluded with no deal. It was the first direct talks between the two countries in a decade, and the highest level talks between the two since the Islamic Revolution in 1979. The talks beginning on Saturday and lasting 21 hours in Islamabad, Pakistan. Vice President J.D. Vance was in Pakistan leading the U.S. delegation, along with Jared Kushner and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, as a fragile ceasefire has been underway between the two sides since Tuesday, after President Trump agreed to give Iran 2 more weeks to open up the Strait of Hormuz or face further destruction. Now the president will implement a naval blockade on the strait. Here's Vice President J.D. Vance after the talk.
Now, this is very interesting. Putting the naval blockade now, like I mentioned in my prior videos, we will now control the straits.
In Islamabad this morning.
We've been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement.
Joining me now live on the telephone with the very latest is the nation's 45th and 47th President of the United States, President Donald J. Trump. Mr. President, thank you so much for being with me this morning. I know that your time is limited, and we appreciate you making the time to explain all of this to our audience. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Maria.
Mr. President, can you explain to us what is going on right now with the blockade in the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, we're going to be blockading. It'll take a little while, but it'll be effective pretty soon. And we had meetings yesterday. They, as you said, lasted 21 hours. That was a long meeting. We had some very, very good representatives, as you know, JD and Steve and Jared. So we were well represented, but we didn't get there on the important issue. They want to have nuclear weapons. They're not going to have nuclear weapons. I've been saying that for 30 years. I would never allow that to happen before I was in politics.
Hence, it's a no-starter for the U.S. They cannot be allowed to have any kind of nuclear weapons, and we cannot cave on that front neither.
And that country will not have nuclear weapons. Most countries shouldn't be allowed to have, but that country will not have nuclear weapons.
So, Mr. President, was that the red line there? Can you explain to us what went on in these talks? What did the United States ask of Iran, and how did they react?
Well, they reacted, it was very interesting. It started off weak. They came in like they had the cards, but they don't have the cards. Their army, their whole military is obliterated. The whole place is obliterated. And,
the same thing when Trump spoke to Ukraine, to Russia. The weaker side don't have the cards. The same thing from Iran to the United States. You're kind of coming from a place of strength when you're the weaker side. We are the stronger side, so we have all the cards.
Levels of leaders are gone. They're literally gone. Khomeini's gone. The whole thing is gone. The whole place is gone. They have one thing that they can do. They can say, well, gee, we're going to put a mine someplace just a mine. We'll drop 1 mine, 2 mines, 10 mines. And that will, if you have a ship that costs $1 billion, you'll say, well, I prefer not getting whacked by a mine, losing my ship or damaging it badly, at least. And so that's a little bit of a thing that they can do. That it's military might and military power don't do it, but, it's extortion. And they're extorting the world. We don't get our oil from there. We have so much oil. And one thing you said, and I don't know if anybody heard it well, but we have boats pouring up to the United States. They'll be filling them up, and they'll be leaving, and they're going to be packed with the best oil you can get. Light, sweet crude. They're going to have the best oil that you can get. But so that's interesting, and it's great because we have a lot of oil. We don't get any. Literally last year was 1%. We did that as a favor. We don't need the Strait. But other countries do. And I will tell you, while we're on the subject, we're very disappointed with NATO. We're very, very disappointed that they didn't come. Now they want to come and they want to help with the Strait. And
the thing is, only 2 have shown up so far. Like I mentioned last time, we got France and you got our lonely ally, UK. I mean, it's supposed to be very close, but they're playing shenanigans right now. They finally decided to help. So you got France and Ukraine helping in clearing the Straits of Hormuz.
All out. Yep. It's called all in and all out. There'll be a time when we'll have them all come in and all come out, but it won't be a percentage. It won't be a friend of yours, like a country that's your ally or a country that's your friend. It's all or nothing. And that'll be, that won't be in too long a distance. No, we're just bringing the ships up. We got a lot of ships, so we're bringing them up. We think that numerous countries are going to be helping us with this also, but we're putting on a complete blockade. We're not going to let Iran make money on selling oil to people that they like and not people that they don't like or whatever it is. It's going to be all or none, and that's the way it is.
That's big. So now Iran's going to definitely lose some more in this whole war when they had a chance to take the offer on the table. They chose not to, and now they're putting themselves and the country more at risk financially.
Transport planes landing here each day. President Trump spoke over the weekend about the situation.
Let me just tell you, we win, no matter what. We've defeated their military. They have no navy. 158 ships are underwater, undersea. All of their minesweepers and all of their, they call them mine droppers. Can you imagine? A country has 28 mine droppers. You think that's nice?
And you got to remember, all the mine droppers they have, they're using that to create chaos and control in the Middle East. The waters are international waters, but yet they're putting mines in there so effectively only their allies could pass through. And whoever they deem that is not their ally, they could blow the ships up. You have billion-dollar ships coming through, especially full with cargo. If those things get blown up, now the industry or the companies are lost. Charging again $2 million per ship coming through. That is insane. They should never be allowed to control international waters.
Where we were. Iran tried to encircle us with a stranglehold. Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Assad regime in Syria, the militias in Iraq, the Houthis in Yemen. Iran itself, they wanted to strangle us, and we are strangling them. They threatened us with annihilation, and they are now fighting to survive. We have prepared them. We still have more to do.
All right, so it just seems like Israel is doing what they said they would and trying to preserve their own country with Iran's previous threats.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu there saying the campaign is not over yet. Guys?
So, Trey, can you give us any update on, obviously we saw the USS Peterson and Murphy go into the Strait to try and clear a path for those trapped hundreds of tankers. Have we seen any increase in movement in maritime traffic?
Yeah, there's been a little bit of increase in traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, but notably yesterday, U.S. Central Command said they've started an operation to clear mines in the Strait, sending 2 Navy destroyers through this area. So it's a significant signal, again, about the control of the Strait and the ability of the U.S. Navy. But also, when you speak about the Iranian Navy, the president is correct. Much of it is at the bottom of the sea.
Pretty much. Every big craft is at the bottom of the sea. They might have some little smaller boats, but the big things, they're gone.
The Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, said a quote from a previous war that rings true today. He said, "We've agreed to split the Strait with the Iranian Navy. We'll take the upper half." And he's talking about the fact that many of the vessels are now at the bottom of the sea following the 40-day campaign against the Iranian Navy and the IRGC.
Hey, that is a very condescending notion right there. They take the bottom half, we take the upper half.
But they can use a few $1,000 mine and it can disrupt billions of dollars worth of global shipping. And so that's an incredibly important part of this equation. Then you have Gulf countries, and the president told me a few weeks ago he was most surprised by the fact that the Iranians were directly targeting these Gulf countries like Bahrain, Kuwait, the UAE, and Qatar with drones and missiles, given the fact that they are not even directly involved in this conflict. But again, this speaks to how unstable the regime is and their inability to look forward what's best for their own country.
That's the thing. We can't trust anything that Iran says. If you believe that it's because of the United States, I think that you have a wrong thing coming too. The whole state, again, is a propaganda state. The Iranian people are good, but the people in control, they're definitely not running the country properly.
There's hundreds, probably thousands of them. But it's the Ayatollahs, it's the regime that declared war on America, not the Iranian people. So we're not at war with the Iranian people. We're trying to end the state sponsor of terrorism. We're trying to end the threat, the menace that Iran represents not only to America, but to world security and peace. So I'm supporting.
If they do are allowed to keep all of the uranium that they have, that they're not going to use it, we got another thing coming. Another fear about that too is that if you don't knock Iran all the way out, they could come back and reassemble in time and become far worse. Because just think about it. Yeah, we may have knocked out the top portion of Iranian leaders, but now the whole country is being run by the military, right? So now they were far worse than the people that was in charge. So then it could create more terror for the actual citizens. Iran cannot be allowed to have a nuclear weapon at any cost, because then they could be able to shoot at the United States, long missile range to hit New York, their allies, the European Union, the UK, and even personnel in the Gulf state. Trump having those vessels to create that blockade, I think is going to be tremendous. Like he just spoke about, him being there all in, all out kind of mindset. No one's paying any kind of fees whatsoever to Iran. And I saw a little bit about it that if any one of Iran's allies are paying fees to get through, he now is going to charge them, right? Or he's going to put sanctions on their country. So Iran is being cut off as far as any personnel paying fees to them. Less money coming in for them. They should have taken that deal that the United States gave them. And who knows? We might start bombing again and taking out more of their equipments and vessels that they have. So it's a great thing that more allies are coming in to help clear off the straits, but that should have been done a long time ago. So let me know what you think. If you enjoy what you've seen and heard, please like, comment, subscribe, and share a Black Veteran's Perspective. Stay motivated.